tell you about H2O case in Brazil and how PEX evaluate new PEX design linking the brand objectives with these studies. The agenda, I will tell you a little bit about the challenge of H2O in Brazil and what were the research objectives, the methodology we choose to respond our questions, that was the PEX methodology, the results we got, and the decisions we have made based on this project. So H2O was launched in Brazil in 2006 to be a combination of the categories of water and soft drinks. It was called that as slightly carbonated beverages, and that at that moment it was a very innovative brand, innovative product for this segment, but it had lost some of this appeal during the years. Considering this, PepsiCo decided to make a brief for design thinking agents, giving them the challenge to develop a new pack design capable to revive this innovative aura and also reinforce some brand attributes. So the design thinking agents conducted a very complex process, including interviews with consumers, with stakeholders, very deep semiotic analysis, and also co-creation labs to develop these creative paths. As a result, we got almost 4 creative paths, and considering operational restrictions, we decided that 2 of them was the most feasible ones for us, but of course we had to choose just one of them to proceed with the development. And with this question in mind and considering all this process with the design thinking agents, we thought that it wouldn't be so fair to do a liking, preference evaluation. So we analyzed several proposals and decided that PEX would be the most appropriated for us at that moment because of its methodology, giving us an emotional analysis and a very actionable diagnostics. And also because the methodology had a completely fit with our research objectives, that was going back to our briefing for the design thinking agents to understand if the creative paths were responding accordingly to the brief, of course choosing the winner pack, and also the most usual metrics for evaluating a new pack that are findability, attractiveness, and brand recognition. And with all of this in hand, we would be able to choose the winner design. So Rodrigo will tell you a little bit about the methodology and the results.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. So thank you, Aline. The idea was to try and make a thorough evaluation of the packs, comparing 2 new development paths and the current one. So we would have 3 cells and have some key metrics to decide which one of those 3 packs would be the best one to go ahead. So the methodology pretty much focused first on evaluating the packs on a shelf and bring some key metrics for us to decide which one performs better on the shelf, like attention, simulated shopping. And then we go back to a close-up of the package, and then we try to measure a few other metrics like attention on pack, brand personality associated with that pack, and some metrics like emotional attributes, functional attributes, plus conventional pack metrics like purchase intent, appeal, uniqueness, things like this. So moving to the evaluation itself, the first outcome we have in this kind of evaluation that is powered by HotSpecs, that is our partner, is this kind of heat map. It's pretty much like the ones you're used to when you use laser. However, it's done using mouse clicks. So it's, we have some studies comparing both techniques, and they're pretty much the same. Actually, under our point of view, with advantages to click specs. And what we see on this shelf environment is that where are the points where people are paying attention to? where are their eyes going to, however, using the clicks of their mouse. So they can do that from their homes without all the apparatus that we need for the eye tracking. Second, we go to the environment, we still stay in the environment where we show the shelves, the package in the shelf. However, what to do is to ask people to make simulated shopping there. So that's another measure we have. In this case specifically, the results were pretty similar between the packages we were testing. So both on attention on the shelf and simulated shopping, they were pretty similar. So what we did, we actually had to make our decision based on the close view of the packages. So what I'm showing here is the comparison between the three packages, and it's pretty much the same as we saw before. The clicks, however, this time on the pack, not on the shelf. It's pretty much comparable to what we see on laser results. And what we see here is what are the main points of attention on the pack. So in this case, we found out that the two new developments were much better at communicating some of the things we wanted to communicate, like seeing the logo, the lid. There were some innovations on the lid, and I'm sorry we're not showing the bottles, because they're still not launched, so they're pretty secretive at this point. So we had to cover them, so I'm sorry for that. But anyway, we found out that some of the new developments were much advantageous in comparison to the present one in terms of communicating some of the values we wanted. This is just some example on how we manage the clicks on the packs, and then we create the heat map based on the clicks. And each one of those dots you guys see there corresponds to feedback from the consumer. So on the dots, they say whether it's positive or negative, what they're noticing there, and they give their feedback. So this is just an example of how we deal with feedback. So we can know what are the negatives, what are the positives. And in this case, even the winning package, we found out that it needed to be adjusted in some sense, and we made some adjustments based on this feedback. So the diagnosis is, we ended up coming up with one winning development. It was clearly better in the key metrics we wanted to measure. I'm not going to bother you guys with each one of them, but I mean, it was much better in most of the metrics. Actually, both new developments were better than the current one, and we actually found out that one of them was actually better. We measured some attributes, emotional attributes, the association that the pack itself conveyed or made people make with important values for the brand. So that's what we're showing here. Pretty much we noticed that the new ones tend to convey better the values that at that point H2O wanted to communicate to the consumers, and some of the attributes that were that we noticed that were lacking at that point for the brand, and that they wanted to revive. So they actually were better at conveying innovativeness, refreshment, things like this. Okay, and finally, what we did is we did this kind of heat map to understand the positioning of the brand based on the perception consumers had of each one of the packs. So we ended up finding out that the winning pack was better at communicating several of the attributes and values that we wanted for the brand at that point. And we ended up with a winner because it was better at emotional attributes, it was better at functional attributes, it was easy to find on the shelf, and it was really a package that delivered several of the key indicators wanted, besides the emotional attributes. So we made a decision, actually, in terms of our recommendation, and then PepsiCo moved forward with some changes to the pack.
So with all this in hand, we clearly have a recommendation about which pack we should proceed in the development. So no doubt about this. And also the methodology pointed us many opportunities on the label we tested. So we gave this feedback for the design thinking agents, and then they reworked them to produce this new one that are in the left there. And as the results were so positive and a bottle analysis demand a long time of investment and the studies, we decided to do this innovation in 2 steps. The first one is here. We changed the label for the new one, and it's already in the market. And at this moment, we are in some development studies about investment, feasibility, and everything. And that's it.